Welcome back. We're in the shop today. We're actually working on stuff. It's a rarity that we're actually doing things. But got this 91 GT Outpost here on the stand. We're gonna turn it into something cool. So we're in the shop today doing some bike work because that's what we do sometimes. So we're gonna start doing this thing. We already do it sometimes. We take these old bikes and we turn them into more modern, cool, usable bikes. Maybe change a thing or two, make them a little bit more enjoyable to ride than they were when they were original. And today we're gonna do it with this 91 GT Outpost. Now, we wanna do this and bring you guys along because we wanna show you that what goes into this. Because when we do it, it's not just that we slap new tires, wipe them off, and then upcharge you for it. We actually thoroughly go through these things. We overhaul a lot, and we do a lot more in depth to them than just cosmetic stuff. So essentially you're buying a new bike on an old frame. I have old parts too, but we only use them if they're in good condition. We overhaul. You'll see. Let's get after it. First step of the process, we gotta get this thing apart. You can see it's completely together. It works, it rides. But we're gonna take it apart. And then we're gonna assess what needs to be replaced, what needs to be refreshed, kind of go from there. So just gonna get to it, zip through this stuff, movie magic style, so you guys don't have to watch the whole thing.
How it is.
One thing we know for sure, these old tires gotta go. A little bit dry rot, actually not that bad, but we're gonna get some new freshies on there. We got some dark tan DTH is gonna go on this puppy. A little wider, a little more comfortable. Look a little better too. Grub, feeling not so bad. A little bit of a hop to it. That's probably because of this here reflector. Really good shape, actually. We're gonna open them up, overhaul them, give them a good service anyways, but still in pretty good shape. Gears, all in pretty good shape. Probably gonna put a mega range cassette on this. I don't know, or I mean freewheel on this, but I don't know. We may just put that guy back on there. We'll see. I'd like to put a new one on though. Front wheel. Ooh, also feels really good, really true. Doesn't have too much of a hop or anything to it. Feels really nice. I think we're gonna rock with these. Actually a pretty decent rim. Not too heavy, really good shape. So, sweet. Headset feels pretty good. Actually, this bike, like overall, is in really good shape. I mean, you probably could have just put new tires on it, lubed everything up the way it is, and then resold it for, I don't know, maybe a couple $100. But this is gonna make a really nice kind of cruiser bike we're gonna go with here. So we're gonna do it up fresh. All right, so this thing has the old Sake XCU crankset on it. It's honestly, everything's in really, really good shape. Not too much of the finish has been scratched on the crank arms. Got a little bit there. Might even be able to get the rest of that off. Everything, even on the backside, pretty good condition. A more modern crankset would probably give this a little bit easier front ring shifting. But again, we're building like a cruiser style, so it's not like it's gonna be the end of the world. They're also 170 crank arms, so we'll see if I have another nicer set of 170s laying around. If not, I might just put these back on. They're really, really good condition, but keep the cost of the bike low to whoever buys it if we just use the original crank arms again, since they're in such good shape. Now you can tell this bike was pretty good taken care of because like nothing's rusted on it. Even like all the connecting and cinching bolts to all the brakes and derailleurs, there's no rust on there. Those are usually rust out even if you take good care of a bike because you're sweating into them. But you can see there's like no rust on any of this stuff. We do have these old XU die comp levers. They're just plastic coated lever. I think they're actually metal on the inside. They're in really good condition. Might leave them, but I doubt it. They just don't fit, you know, that new modern feel of the cockpit and rider perspective on the bike. These guys, definitely getting rid of these. Just putting a little bit more modern trigger shifter on there. Probably gonna be 7-speed, just to keep, again, it's a cruiser bike. We're gonna keep the cost of the customer low. Well, it wouldn't have been an old bike build take apart if the Quilston wedge nut wasn't stuck in the fork. If you take one apart that's older than 10 years old and that wedge nut's not in there, you've got a mint bike on your hands. So we're gonna put some penetrating oil in there and let her soak. But we've got it mainly apart. Just gotta get the bottom bracket out and all that. Pretty good shape. A lot of the parts are in pretty decent shape too. So I think we've got pretty good potential to turn it around without having to charge too much or put too much money into it. Got these old Centaur XCT derailleurs, front and rear. The front one's a little crusty. Gonna change the shifters out to a more modern pair of trigger shifters from Shimano, so we're probably just going to throw a new front and rear derailleur on there as well. Again, for future serviceability, we're going to sell a bike that's 30 years old that's hopefully going to ride another 30 years, so we want to keep it as modern as we can in places that really matter. So yeah, there she is, pretty good. Only cosmetic damage I've noticed in the take apart and is this a little bit of scratchage on the head tube, and then underneath there's one dent, which I didn't see until I did one of these. And that kinda stinks because it's in the label too. But other than that, pretty good shape. So we're gonna get her cleaned up and get the bottom bracket out and the headset out, and then start tearing the wheels apart. Got all the parts off, got the stem out. I had to let that soak for a minute, but now we're got the bottom bracket out. So now we're ready to get the headset out and give that a cleaning and go from there. So we got the headset out, fork off. Bearings are pretty good actually, they're pretty clean. Sometimes you get a lot of waxy, nasty buildup on these older bearings, but they're pretty clean. All the grease on them is still pretty viscous, not been out of shape. None of the balls are missing, none of the retainer bits are tore up at all. We don't have to soak them or anything. We're just gonna give them a good cleaning off. I mean, look at that grease. It's still pretty good. So we're just gonna give everything a good cleaning and put some new grease in there and put it back together. So forks back in it, headsets in it, all the parts are over here in a bin. Got cleaned up, ready to go back together. I'm gonna spray some frame saver in it because it is a time gauge steel frame. Maybe touch up a couple of these spots where it's got through the paint. You know, for a bike that's over 30 years old, an entry-level bike that's over 30 years old, it's pretty good shape. So touch up some of the paints, let that dry, hit some frame saver inside of it, keep it from rusting out. You know, just keep it going for another 30 years and get back on it tomorrow. New day, back at it. We're on the Outpost refresh. Saw what we did yesterday. So today we're gonna keep on going. We got to do the wheels down. So we're gonna open the wheels up, freshen them up, clean them up, put them back together. Okay, so we got it all cleaned up. All the bearings and all the cups and cones look good, so nothing needs to be replaced. So we're just gonna put some brush lube in it and put it back together. Got a little bit of dirt on the rim there still, but we'll get that whenever we get into the treating process. freshly greased, overhauled back together. Still in the trim stand. And finish it up. Alright, front wheel done. Gonna move to the back one. Essentially the same thing. So we're not gonna bore you by showing you that. Okay, so we've got our wheels back together. They've been overhauled and cleaned and trued. And so now we're ready for the fun part, and that's putting it all back together. Got a fresh new square taper sealed cartridge bottom bracket gonna go in there. We're just gonna put that old GT stem back in there because A, it's kind of retro cool, and B, it's already got a cable hanger in it, so we won't have to find a cable hanger to put on if we change it to a more modern stem. And it should work with the handlebars that we got going. Couldn't find any cranks that I had in a 170 length that were in better shape or nicer looking than these, so it's a good time we should just keep these. So these are the bars I got to go on there. Just some nice big old wide walled cruiser bars made right here in Kentucky, so that's cool. So we're gonna put those guys on there. It should be the right size and should look pretty good. Tire and tube time. Oh yeah, those are gonna look sweet. starting to shape up. Now, admittedly, those are a lot nicer tire than most people would put on a bike like this. But they were the only ones I could find at the time that went with the gum wall aesthetic I was going for. And a slick tire and something big enough and comfortable enough to match the cruiser style we're going for on the bike. But, boy, they look good. We got derailleurs on. Now it's time to try and put the U-brake on and hope we don't have clearance issues. Alright, U-brake's on. Plenty of room. Should be golden. I was going to leave the original cantilever brakes on the front because they didn't look bad and they're clearly functional, but as much as I love them, not everybody else does. So we're going to throw some V-brakes on the front. Okay, so we got all the components on. Now we just got to change the pads in the rear because the front ones are brand new V-brake. Change the brake pads in the rear and run cables. Alright, so yesterday I got a little busy toward the end of the day, didn't get to finish this thing, but I did get all the cables ran, tuned, and dressed. So now all we really have to do is concentrate on the contact points. So put some grips on. When it comes to grips, I got some options. If y'all know me, I'm an ODI guy. So I thought about just some classic old ODI long necks. Get the flange off, of course. Put those on there, but keep it black, keep it simple. I wish I had some cool pink, magenta, whatever you want to call that. I got some purples, but I don't think that they'll look good with the GT logos. I also thought about these blues. So there's a little bit of blue in the logo. I thought about matching it up with some blue ODIs. That one's a little dirty. Or I thought about running just regular blacks on there. Then I also have some Vans Colt gum wall, or gum, but they're slightly different gum than the gum on the tires. You know what? Let's run the gums. I think it'll look pretty good. So since I got the gum walls on and like BMX style grips, I'm gonna go ahead and complete the look, I guess, with a pair of BMX pedals. I can put anything on here. It's just gonna be a cruiser bike, but to complete the look, make it look cool. Put these on. They're not too expensive. Pretty good pedal, and they're gonna look better on there. And they're big, wide, and comfy. So clean these up because I took them off of another bike I got laying around, and we'll put them on there. So normally I would put on, when I do this, I would normally put on brand new pedals. These are essentially brand new. I had them on another bike of mine that has only been ridden a handful of times and is about to come apart, and I'm about to do the same thing too anyways. So I'm gonna put these guys on there. Essentially brand new, just had a little foot dirt on them. We got pretty much done. I'm gonna change the saddle out though. This old GT super soft saddle is comfortable enough, I think, but just gonna give it a fresher look if I put another saddle on that I have laying around. So this saddle is a lot more comfortable, a lot comfier. And I think the kind of customer we have in mind for this bike is probably gonna want a little fresher saddle. I'm gonna pop that off, clean up the seat clamp here, and that would essentially be done. So there's a little bit of surface rust on some of these seat clamps. So I'm just gonna hit it with a wire brush, and you'll see. Yeah, just hit it with a little wire brush. Yeah, it's good as new. All shiny. So normally when I do over an old bike like this, I usually change out the seat post and get rid of these old seat guts. But this post is really clean, and since we've changed out a lot of the parts that actually matter for new parts, we're gonna leave the old seat post in there again. Shave a little cost to the customer when we go to resell it. There we have it. It's done. We're gonna give it a final cleanup, get a lot of my fingerprints off the handlebars and different things, and just give it a good wipe down, and then take it out and test ride it. Might have to change the bars out. This cockpit's a little shorter than I thought when I ordered the bars for it, but we're gonna give it a ride, see what it feels like. Maybe even put a shorter rider, because it is for a shorter rider than me, on it, and see what they think. And then, like I said, these are all custom. That's the benefit of these bikes versus selling a new bike, because it's like we built this thing, so anything you want to change out, like pedals or a different seat or different grips or different bars, whenever somebody goes to buy it, like we're more than happy to do that. We just build it like this. This is the idea of the bike. it's all fresh and new. Somebody wants it and it's like, oh, I like this a lot, but I wish I had that handlebar over there on it. We'll just put the handlebar over there on it. That's the beauty of doing this. Also, you know, a lot of people bring in a frame or a bike that they have at home that they haven't ridden in 10 years, or, you know, they used to love, but now they've got a newer bike and they just want to freshen that one up, and that's what we do. We'll do the same process with your bike that you've got at home, or your dad's bike that he used to ride and you want to freshen up and get some life out of. So each one of these that we do is different. You know, they don't all get such a deluxe treatment, if that's what you want to call it. This one's kind of cool. I had a vision for it. I collect the old GTs and really love them, so I wanted to do this one up kind of just a little extra. You know, they don't all get new derailleurs and new shifters and brakes and all that stuff. Each bike is different. We try and have, you know, a plethora of them. Some are done up like this and some are done up a little more basic, but all of them, you know, we go through and overhaul everything. We only are going to use the parts on these bikes that are completely functional and are going to last, you know, quite a while and going to be serviceable. We're essentially taking an old bike and giving you a like new quality on an old frame, whether that be with older original parts or if that's with new stuff. You know, this bike got a mixture of that. The wheels were perfect, so we kept the wheels, but we put a new rear derailleur on it, we put a new freewheel on it. All the mechanical working parts we go through thoroughly and clean up and refresh. And each one has a different price reflecting the work done to it. We keep a spreadsheet of what, you know, was done to the bike, what was replaced, what it costs us to do said, you know, refresh versus what the fair market value of those things would be. So like this particular bike comes in at about $550 fair market value. So that's with the bike costing $200. That's saying that the fair market value for this bike, you know, completely rideable in its original state, but completely rideable and good to go, which it was about $200. And then we got a new derailleur, we got a new freewheel, we got new pedals, we got a new seat, we got new grips and shifters and brake levers and a new front brake and new tires and tubes and cables and brake pads. All that adds up to be about $550. I'll have to look at the spreadsheet again to have the exact number, but it's around the $550 mark. Now, we try and take those two prices of what we've got in the bike and what the fair market value of the bike is and split somewhere in the middle. So not all of our bikes, like I said, have such an extensive thing. You know, we're probably gonna try and be on right around like $450 on the price of this bike. The beauty of that is if you go and buy a brand new out of the box bike that looks exactly like all the other bikes that came out that year out of the box, you're gonna spend, you know, anywhere from like mid 400s, now quality, not department store, but if you go and buy quality comfort cruiser or, you know, town cruiser or comfort bikes of this range, you're gonna spend about $450 to about $600 on a brand new out of the box bike that looks exactly like all the other bikes. It's nothing fancy, nothing to write home about. Probably neither is this, but this bike's gonna come in at about $100 cheaper than that new bike. But look at it, it's way cooler. You can't buy this. Nobody else has this bike. Nobody else, you can't just pull this out of a box and put it together, order it on the internet. This is essentially one of one, the way it sets. And it's saving an old bike that was once a very quality bike and bringing it to that new quality riding experience and mechanical, you know, functionality, but giving it that cool look. So it's something that I really enjoy doing. It's something that no one else really around us is doing. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's something we enjoy doing. It's something unique. And saving old bikes and making them really enjoyable bikes. So yeah, we just want to make this video to show you like the process that these bikes go through. When you buy a refurbished bike from us, or a Goki build, these aren't bikes that we just slap new tires on and put a seat on because the seat was ripped and then put it on the floor and upcharged you a bunch just because. These actually have gone through an extensive process and have been completely revamped. And it's gonna ride like new. So yeah, there you have it. Let's done some final adjustments. We're gonna go out and ride it and get some final glamour shots up. Let us know in the comments what you'd have done if this was your bike and you was building it for you. What would you have done different? Would you have changed the handlebars? What kind of style would you have gone with? Would you have put the black grips or the blue grips on instead of the gum grips? Am I just a rambling idiot that should just throw this junk away? Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear it. Anyways, let's go ride some bikes. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.